Okay, it's 8:03 here in Paradise. Wonderful good morning from Hawaii. And we have a really interesting session today, and it's about my home state. So we're traveling around the world. On Thursday, we're going to talk about Tanzania. So hopefully any of you that are in Europe or are in time zones more friendly to Tanzania can join us. But today we're coming right to you right here from Hawaii, and it was a little bit of a question if we can even do this, because we had a hurricane alarm here yesterday, and luckily nothing happened. And so we're very fortunate. It looks like everything is fine, but it was a very close call. Today we have our co-host, Dr. Peter Tarlow, of course, with us, and I'm going to give him probably the opening word. But we also have a very special guest here locally from Hawaii, and this is Kym Pine. She is the chair of the Council Committee on Business, Economic Development and Tourism, and she's actually running for mayor of Honolulu, what is one of the most important posts besides the governor, I guess, you can have here in Hawaii. Peter, good morning. How's everything in Texas?
Yep, we're like you. We almost had a hurricane. Actually, we did have a hurricane in the south of Texas. But Texas is so big that it was hundreds of miles from my part of Texas. So I'm telling people we really didn't have a hurricane, but that's not 100% correct. We did have one. It was just at the far end of the state. We're also starting to recover from COVID. We have now flattened the curve, and we're doing okay with hospitals. So Texas is doing pretty well. We're improving. I think today is a really interesting session, because Hawaii is really a star, not just in the United States, but of the world when it comes to tourism. And we can look at Hawaii as an individual state, or we can look at Hawaii as a symbol for much of the world of tourism. It's a place that has gone from being almost a backwater to a major tourism center. It's had people who wanted tourism and some people who didn't want tourism. It's had to deal with mass tourism and then almost with no tourism. So I think if we look at Hawaii as a metaphor for the whole world of tourism, then that really becomes a very useful tool, not only for the people of Hawaii, but also for the people of the world. And how the real question is not what is, but rather what will be. How will Hawaii rebound? What type of tourism will Hawaii have? Will it want to go back to what it had 6 months ago? Or will it be looking for a new type of tourism? Will it be able to try to find a way to create a different type of population that comes? How will the local population and the tourism population interact with each other? And how can Hawaii assure that the economics of tourism become valuable for the people who live there, but they don't have to go through the undulations, the ups and downs that tourism has sometimes had. So that's really a sort of a kickoff to where we're going. I'm going to be with you all just for a short period of time. I'm on the Olympic committee for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics. I know that seems far away, but in the world of Olympics, 8 years is not that long to prepare. It'll be the third time I've worked with Olympics around the world. And so when I disappear, it's not because I don't love you, it's just I can't be on two Zoom calls at the same time. So thank you for letting me start off. Again, I think we need to think of Hawaii as a paradigm and as a metaphor for tourism in every part of the world.
Thank you very much, Peter. And just for housekeeping, again, please stay muted if you're not speaking, but this is an interactive forum, so anyone is welcome to ask questions. The easiest way to do is you see a hand, a blue hand. I think we have to mute. Whoever is speaking, can you would you mind muting yourself? Thank you. But there is a hand you can raise, and I get a signal here, and then we get to you as soon as possible. You can also put information on chat. However, it is quite difficult to speak, monitor the screen, and see chat, even with Dimitri and I, both of us doing this. So the easiest way is later on just to raise your hand, and there might be a lot of questions. In the meantime, we also have Mor joining us. Mor is right here from Hawaii. He lives on the north shore of Oahu in Pupukea. And Pupukea has been my home for 25 years. So I know his neighborhood, and it's kind of still my home, remote area. So Mor has a presentation later. Maybe real quick, Mor, you're in the only part of the island that had a little bit of an effect, I think, from the hurricane. How are you guys doing? Are you dry over there?
Yeah, good morning, Juergen. Yeah, it's been just mild rain. Yesterday we were expecting and embracing, and just another day after all on the North Shore.
Perfect. Okay, so without further delay, I'd like to introduce again the chair of the Council Committee on Business, Economic Development and Tourism here for Honolulu, and a candidate for mayor, Kym Pine. Welcome very much to Rebuilding.Travel, Hawaii News Online, and eTurbo News this morning. And how are you doing?
Well, we're doing great. We're very grateful that the hurricane just went north of the islands, and it was a very close call. Up until a few hours before it passed by Oahu, we thought it was going to be a Category 1 hurricane, so we feel very grateful today. But now we're back to talking about what to do about our #1 economy. And I'll be honest with you, the people here are very torn. We have half the people that's in my district that were heavily employed by the tourism industry that now are out of a job. We have long food lines now with people waiting in line for food that have never done that before in their whole lifetime. And then because of the crisis, the state is having a very difficult time even giving out unemployment benefits because they've never had this type of volume hitting their internet systems before. So there's people that are still waiting months and haven't gotten any income from the unemployment office. But here's the complexities that we're dealing with now. For the first time in many people's lives, they actually saw what our land would be like if there weren't so many tourists. For the first time, there were turtles that were finally laying eggs in populated areas along the Kaneohe side of this island. We had turtles that for the first time in the places you folks know, in Laniakea Beach, they call Turtle Beach in the North Shore, the turtles for the first time were resting. Our corals are starting to come back in such a very short time, and reef fish are starting to repopulate in ways that we haven't seen it before. And before this all happened, there was starting to be an uprising within the local community where there were starting to be viral videos shown where tourists who were not educated, and it's because the government failed to take care of our islands. We failed to have standards for tourism. It's been a free-for-all ever since I've been a kid. So you had viral videos going around where tourists were actually sitting on turtles and taking pictures. They were attacking monk seals, which is an endangered species. They were abusing other wildlife. They would show pictures of where there would be a beautiful trail and trees, and then someone would drop off a busload of tourists, and then there would be trash everywhere, and some of the trees were even torn down and the ground's trampled on. And so we're really at this crossroads right now. And so how we deal with tourism has become a key part of this campaign and a huge part of the debate, where you have candidates that are saying, no, let's just go back to where we were, and they're telling all the people that don't have jobs, you'll get your job back, that's all that really matters. And then you have the employees in the tourism business saying, wait a second, how can you guarantee from COVID that we will be safe? And some hotels did open up when we ended the quarantine for the inter-island. And what happened was some hotels just opened up full capacity right away and gave great discounts, but they came back at half capacity. So you had nobody that was watching social distancing. You didn't have staff that was cleaning high-touch areas. No one was taking temperatures or making sure that the staff was safe. So as a result, the visitors that came to that hotel said they stayed in their rooms. They were so terrified of getting COVID. And then you had the staff members that were so terrified and they just wanted to leave their jobs that day because they thought they would get COVID. So we have a lot of complex things going on right now The biggest debate is how do we reopen tourism? Majority of the population here wants some type of pre-COVID testing before they get on a plane. And that, of course, has its own complexities, because how do you test people from around the world and verify their tests? So you're kind of interviewing me at a very explosive time in Hawaii, where we're not really sure what direction the people want to go. But the good thing is we're finally having a discussion about how do we have high value tourism that doesn't take away from the local population's quality of life, but also make sure that government takes care of our environment so that we can continue to have tourism. Because if you destroy our environment, that's what people come here for, and they will no longer come if they think it's overcrowded and their reefs are destroyed and the natural life are gone. Oh, Juergen, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. Specifically now, I don't think we have to worry about over-tourism for the times to come. Like what we've discussed on previous forums, tourism will not be the same. There are many destinations that are now shifting initially to what they call domestic and regional tourism, but of course is very limited to our state. If we call domestic tourism and include California and Arizona and many other places, we're opening ourselves to quite a challenge right now when it comes to COVID. I personally have to say I'm quite impressed how Mayor Kirk Caldwell is dealing with the situation. I thought I would never say this, being in tourism for 40 years and really breathing tourism and love this industry, that I say I'm really glad tourism is not increasing here right at this time. It's not the right time. We've talked about so many things. We talked about tourism bubbles that came up in between. There are other destinations that are trying these bubbles. And you can see there are many examples of, for instance, in Spain. Spain now has a record increase in tourism because they allowed bubbles and they allowed their borders to be open. And you find these type of developments, unfortunately, in many different types, different kinds of the world. You know, I'm very involved with Africa. I'm an executive board member of the African Tourism Board and also member of Project Hope, which is similar to Rebuilding.travel. And for Africa, the dependent on tourism in some regions is even higher than Hawaii, because we have the resources here. We have better financial resources. In Africa, it becomes a matter of death and life for local populations if there's tourism or not. But shifting tourism, I think, is a reality everyone in this world has to face. And also, I think getting tourism in on a short time is unrealistic, and it's dangerous. And I'm sorry for this monologue, but I don't know how you see this. If you would become mayor, how would you continue to protect our population here in Honolulu, in Hawaii? And how would you see the better quality type of tourism could function with all the hotel rooms we have and all the infrastructure we have in order to keep this all alive?
Well, when I first took over the Business Economic Development and Tourism Committee, we first did an analysis. Is tourism really benefiting the people who live here like it did many years ago? We're getting a lot of complaints for people who are now rebelling against their number one economy, that they felt they no longer had private spaces, that all our natural resources were being destroyed. And so what we did was we just did a financial analysis. And what we found that in 1989, we were bringing $18 billion, of course, with inflation, to the state of Hawaii through tourism. And then today we're bringing about $17 billion. And what surprised us is we're bringing in less. But what surprised us even more was that we had double the tourists for just a little less of the same amount of money than we did in the 1980s. And so our first goal is to bring things back to the 80s, where the governor back then, the mayor back then, were monitoring tourism and the effects on the environment. And they were very cautious about having more tourists come. And so they were very focused on tourism industries that truly marketed to that higher end tourist, that when they came, they spent more. So the benefit per tourist was a lot higher. The effects on the environment and the local population was far less. It was half. And so we're really doing an analysis of how did they do that back then? And really what they did is they accepted and assisted those people in the hotel and the tourism industry that did specifically market to those places. The Hawaii Tourism Authority marketed to those high-end tourists only. And what has happened since the 1980s, they just did a free-for-all. They allowed illegal vacation rentals to flourish without any type of checks and balances. They didn't, even though there were laws against vacation rentals, they never enforced the law. And so that is something that the City Council passed this year to just give better enforcement procedures to the people from the Department of Planning and Permitting for illegal vacation rentals. And now we have a way to monitor those that are going to be reopening. And so it's really a difficult task to analyze what are all the changes from then, but that is the easiest way for us to target the type of change that we're looking for, and just really going back in time to what Hawaii used to do.
No, absolutely. We have questions coming in, and we get to this in just a second. I'm, of course, when you talk about tourism that bring money in, luxury tourism or specific tourism, how would you think this could work? And I'm not attacking here Southwest Airlines, but Southwest Airlines is an airline that is bringing thousands of people, supposed to bring thousands of people into the state on a low budget arrangement. How do you see this being able to be coordinated with our goal to have high-end tourism only coming in here?
Well, I think naturally, just because of the way things are, where we're almost to zero tourism right now, the sad thing is that a lot of those smaller hotels that made their profit through the massive, through high numbers to get the same profit that a higher end hotel would get, those hotels that have ran on very thin margins, I believe, will go back to being apartments like they used to be in the 80s. What happened was a lot of those apartment buildings in Waikiki were converted to hotels, timeshares, or even illegal vacation rentals. And the money you could make was just so much that people just couldn't resist. So I think naturally, those hotels where all of these Southwest Airlines customers stayed at will now no longer have a place to go. And this is not something the government's going to force on people. It's just going to be something that happens naturally because of the economic conditions. And locals say that's kind of a good thing because they want to have those home units back. That's why the cost of living is so high here. It used to be where Waikiki was the place where you could find an affordable condo or an apartment, but not anymore. There's very few that are available to rent. For my district on the west side of the island, we have a place called Ko'olina, where we made a conscious decision. We are only going to focus on high-end tourism. So the minimum that's usually charged is $600 a night rooms. And so we made very beautiful hotels, of course, with the private sector, but this is where government assisted them. And they have large plots of land. Disney, for example, it's the most successful Disney in the world. The Marriott is the most successful Marriott in the world. And so they have large plots of land where we encourage them, can you keep your tourist on your property and make it a high value entertainment place where they hardly leave their properties and no longer clash with the local population. And Disney did that specifically, where they made so many pools and slides and fun places for the families to go, and even a natural underwater live fish tank that you could scuba dive in, where families rarely leave the property. And so our test at Ko'olina was a great model of what tourism can be like across the state. And so we're looking to see how can we as government assist these companies who are now going through a lot of changes. I mean, even the richest companies that have come to Hawaii are thinking of shutting their hotels down. And so while they're going through these discussions, we're going to be talking to them, how can we help you to transition? And government just 2 years ago spent $100 million assisting all of these hotels so that they can get customers. And so we're going to be talking about how can we reshift these financial resources to benefit this kind of tourism that we want to see in the future.
And that is, you raised a key point here in having tourists on the property. That's kind of the all-inclusive concept. Also, if you look at Sandals Resort, I know they have participated in our forum before for Jamaica. You look at the tourism corridor they did in Jamaica and now also in other jurisdictions in the Caribbean. Maybe that's something we need to take a second look at, because it also protects us more possibly on the spread of the virus. And it's one of the things maybe more later on in his presentation can get into. But we have two people raising hands here. If you would please let us know who you are, where you're calling from, and what your question is. We have, and I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, we have Krishnakanta Malik. Welcome, Krishnakanta. Where are you from? Can you hear us? I think he's raising a hand, but he has his microphone. It says not even there. So maybe your microphone is off. So let's go to the next question. We have Katongo Lungo. Katongo, let us know where you're from and what your question is. You have to unmute yourself, please. Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Katongo, let us know where you're from. I know where you're from, but for everyone else.
Okay, I'm Katongo Lungo from Zambia, Lusaka, to be particular, Southern Africa.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to thank you, the Kym, for coming on the board. Yeah, I appreciated the comment that she had made on the testing. So what I want is to just to contribute what we are doing in Zambia. Just today, like today, I was preparing a flight for tomorrow, a repatriation flight to Lilongwe, our pro-flight flight. So what we have done is for testing, because this issue of testing is becoming cumbersome. So the procedures that we are putting in are that sometimes the passengers, because we do plan that we'll fly to Hawaii, yeah, it's to send in, you have to test in advance, 5 days in advance, get the results, send them, then so that they to the authority or an airline where you are booking, so that they send it to the port health and immigration authorities. Then another point that I said, for Hawaii to build up on the tourism sector, because we need to rebuild post-COVID, is by partnering with other airlines. For instance, Hawaiian Airlines should do more to promote Hawaii. For instance, they shouldn't just restrict themselves on the mainland, USA, Caribbean, Pacific Islands, Australia, Asia, or maybe Europe. They should also partner in, they should also explore other continents, such as Africa. For instance, how do we do that? We are talking of Hawaiian Airlines flying into New York. That's about 9.5 hours, probably 9:45 or 10 hours, if I'm not mistaken. 5 hours from Hawaii to the mainland USA, then another 4.5 to New York. There you connect with Kenya Airways. Then you also connect maybe with ET, Ethiopian Airlines, or SA at Washington. So it's such areas which is called spoke and hub. We need all those also, the people of Hawaii to also explore other areas. In that way, it will be like exchanging. When I fly into New York, I know that I want also to visit Hawaii. I'll connect there on one ticket. It also helps out. So this is what I wanted to contribute.
Yeah, and you're talking about code-share agreements with airlines, and you're absolutely right. Code-shares is always a good thing, and I know some of the carriers also serving Africa heavily, like Ethiopian Airlines is part of the Star Alliance, what connects to our United Airlines. You see Ethiopian, Etihad Airways, Qatar, and also Emirates has code-share agreements with US carriers. There is a way, but of course during COVID, to realistically have what we call bubbles, you need to have non-stop flights. But in talking to different markets, you're absolutely right. Africa is a very potential market. The United States is a very potential market for Africa. I'm very much aware of it. I've been to Zambia many times. I know your beautiful country, and I know the potential Zambia has from the tourism factor, and it's definitely a country everyone should visit more than once in your lifetime. I agree with you, and these are valid contributions. Perhaps if Kym wanted to add something to it, then we can go to more. Kym.
Yeah, actually, I've been pushing more of our tourism partners as well as our investment partners to look at Africa. There, of course, are countries that are very stable and are looking for investment, and for some reason what I've seen is they just like focusing on what works. And so now's the time where I can convince them to expand and broaden their thought process. And so I'm so glad that you came on this call, because it's a great opportunity to remind them of the conversations that I had 2 years ago with many of them, that we cannot just focus on our traditional markets anymore. Now anything goes, and that to save Hawaii and to save our tourism industry and to save our economy, we have to do different things. So thank you so much for mentioning that.
Yeah, no, and it is definitely, Kym, you said you brought up a very valid point. We have to look out of the box these days, and out of the box can be many things. I mean, we had a discussion not too long ago on this forum about retired people traveling during COVID, because retired people can stay a long time. They can stay 2, 3, 4 months. If hotel would cooperate in making this a reality, it could fill some of the spaces even with the quarantine requirements we have in place here for Hawaii, and generate some traffic. We've been talking to Minister Bartlett from Jamaica about his tourism corridors that are so far quite successful, and maybe we have to look at other destinations, what they're doing, and looking at those tourists that could kickstart, any type of responsible relaunch without opening up the floodgates, and that is for Hawaii so important, because we're an island destination, similar to what the Seychelles. I know we've had the former Minister of Tourism from the Seychelles, who is also a co-host here on this show, Alain St. Anjon, and we talked about the challenges the Seychelles had and the enormous pressure they had from the industry to open up. And they did it, they opened up, they closed again, they opened up. So this is a process we're all learning. And actually, we should have another session with you and Alain on it. Alain is now running for president, for head of state in his country, in the Seychelles. And he was actually planned to attend this session. I told him we have a candidate for mayor, and it would be so great if you, as a candidate for head of state, join us. And really the head of state in proportion to a candidate of mayor is very similar, because the Seychelles only has 100,000, less than 100,000 registered voters and citizens. And I think the city of Honolulu has a lot more. And there could
We
be
have a million.
You have 1 million, yes. So you become the head of state of Oahu. In any case, we have a very interesting presentation. I was really looking forward to it. Mor is a gentleman who lives in Pupukea, what's on the northern part of this island. And as I said, Pupukea has been my home for more than 25 years. I lived on Alapio Road, same road Mor is living on. And we didn't know each other, but he responded to something on Hawaii News online, and we visited with social distancing. I got to see his wife and his beautiful kid and his home. and immediately got homesick going back to Popokea. But Mor is originally from Israel, I believe, and lived in Hawaii for a while. And he invented something what is made here in Hawaii, and I think could really have a global impact on the travel and tourism industry. Welcome, Mor. Maybe introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you, Juergen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming for this discussion. It's been very interesting so far. Thank you, Kym, for all your insights and honest opinion about Hawaii in general. So a little bit about myself. Like Juergen said, I'm originally from Israel. I've been to Hawaii shy over 10 years. Interesting situation from us. My companies are in the marketing industry, tourism industry, and technology industry all together. So prior to COVID, we were helping Hawaii tourism by bringing in bookings for pretty much all the suppliers in the state of Hawaii. It was a very successful business. We worked with everybody and we were having a blast. And then on the other hand, I also do live on the North Shore, so I understand completely the traffic jams and everything that comes with mass tourism. So our position really is we're in the middle of this. And I agree with what Kym said about it being an explosive situation right now. And we got to do things right. Without going too much into politics, because this is not what this discussion is about. For us, at least, I wanted to bring in a new development we've been working on to see what can happen and how we can help rebuild tourism, not just in Hawaii, but more of a global aspect of that. So we came up with a project. We came up with a project called Skreen Vision. And I'm gonna go into a quick presentation we made about that. Just on my personal opinion, because I'm so involved in tourism in Hawaii, and our company was about to go global and expand to other markets pre-COVID, we want people back and we want to support all the organizations that are in the tourist industry. And we want to do it right. And there's a very fine line on how to do it between mass amount of people to only high-end people. It might work in other islands. For Oahu, it's a little different. It was more of an affordable destination. And the companies here really do need the volume in order to support their operations. They grew their operations to support that volume. It's a very interesting thin line right now everybody's in. So that's a little bit about me. Juergen, whenever you tell me, I can jump into the...
Yes, I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, cool. There we go. Okay. I need to figure out which screen I'm sharing. Everybody sees the presentation?
Yes, we see the Turtle Bay right in front of my house here.
That's the Hilton Hawaiian Village, Juergen.
Not the Hilton Hawaiian Village, that's what I mean. I'm so on the North Shore, I thought about Turtle Bay. You know?
Before they remove beautiful Diamond Head to the North Shore.
No, I'm in Kaka'ako now, you know, so that's the kind of the extended view from my back window. So.
You look to the right, you see the picture. That's pretty cool. So this is what Skreen's all about. I'm going to go into details. And again, any questions at the end, I'll be happy to answer. We're very, very excited about what this potentially can do to tourism globally. Ladonna, I love the North Shore too. So what is Skreen all about? Skreen was developed in order to provide a solution for reopening tourism, for reopening business, for reopening the world, with emphasis on responsibility. Our slogan is literally, it's the right thing to do. I'm going to explain, there's a lot of text in this presentation. I'm kind of going to read through it and pardon my accent in advance, like Juergen said, I'm Israeli. So the overview of the project. Skreen is a high-end thermal camera paired with our unique software for contact tracing and temperature measurement. Skreen is a contactless system built to assist states all over the world reopen for business with ease, knowing they are protecting themselves, their employees, and their guests the best way they can. I'm going to go into how we're going to do it because it's really, really simple. The problem, everybody knows what the problem is, but let's jab on that a little bit more. COVID-19 has been wreaking havoc across the world, shattering health systems, economies, small businesses, and everyone's livelihood. As we all want to go back to the normal lives, we were looking to see what measures countries are taking in order to reopen. After noticing not much is being done due to very little sharing of information between organizations, we decided to take action and see how we can help. Our system development came purely out of need, and that need is to rebuild while doing the best we can to protect our families, friends, and business. Now, when I say we looked at what's happening in the world, we've been looking for quite some time. There are states in the world with amazing advancements, technology, and responsibility towards what they're going to do to reopen. And there are other countries in the world who are basically waiting for some big pink cloud to disappear. And we're trying to help everyone in the middle. Approach. The approach is simple. We're trying to put the right tools and technology in the hands of the decision makers, business owners across the world, share our knowledge and products with them. And then once the government, the organizations, school, companies, and individuals take responsibility for their actions and behavior, I know we have a real chance of beating this. Waiting for something to happen on its own, it's just not going to work. So we all got to do something. We all got to be responsible here. The solution. At the center of the Skreen system is an advanced data management software. As a part of our embedded system solution, we paired our software with a thermal scanner, a camera, and a mini computer, very smart one, creating a reliable system with cloud communication for remote organization management and control. Okay. I have some feedback from someone. Multiple configurations allow for solutions for every scenario. So we have 4 different devices right now. We have one that is operator check-in, a self check-in, a fully automated version, and a mobile version, which is a handheld. All devices to the same core, which is very important, allowing for instant searchability, reporting, alerts, and much more. And then a little bit about our cloud, which is a Skreen solution, includes cloud computing with features like mask detection, visitor count, advanced reporting, and connectivity to other IoT devices, the Internet of Things, and much more to come. We have a lot of cool things in the pipeline for that. All right, now let's talk about the device itself. We call it the STC. What you're looking at right now is the Ironman version. The device is very, very small. It's 3.5 inches wide, 6 inches tall, 3 inches deep. It fits any location. And it's a very, very cool device with a lot of brain power in it. The interface, and this is, it's actually a screenshot from the dashboard minus the face on the top. But every time a visitor walks in or somebody comes into a store, it could be a student, it could be an employee, it could be a guest, you name it. Every person with a face. The operator or the kiosk itself performed the screening, and the unique thing about this system, which we haven't seen in any other thermal scanning system available out there, is the ability to input data, whether automatically or manually. So the operator in this case, or the guest themselves, input their information for future contact tracing. Contact tracing is key to succeed in battling this pandemic. We have to have those tools. If we don't, and if we do things without it, we basically lost track of our tracking. So once the information is entered, it could be obviously first name, email, phone, any one of those, and the notes section, which is very, very clever. Notes can include anything from a reservation number, voucher number, student ID, employee ID, or just the guy with the big hat. Mind you, every time there's a screening performed, the information gets saved in the database. We're gonna get to that in a second. Very, very important feature we added is the ability to edit the information later. Also to speed the process or to update any notes you wanna do. And then, of course, the screening can be performed without inputting any data as needed, just for places that have the same people every day. So we won't have to take all the information all the time. Down the line with this system, there's going to be an automatic scanning of QR codes, barcodes, NFC chips, for those of you who are familiar. All of that is embedded into the system that would take the information automatically and recognize the person. I want to state that this is not a facial recognition software at all. We're not trying to pinpoint data or anything like that. It is have a feature of facial detection to make sure it's a person. Very good question, Paolo. I'm going to answer that in a second. It is a system that basically detects you're a person versus a broom. But other than that, it does not recognize you. All right, this is the basic database information. So as you can see, every dashboard, every user, every organization, and when I say user, I mean an organization, it's a business owner or a school principal, they'll get their own mini dashboard, which includes all the screenings they performed, total for the day, for the month, for the week. It's all searchable. How many passed, how many failed, and then the overall health of your organization. If you scanned 1,000 people and one tested positive for high temperature, you're in good shape. 50, not so much. All of those pieces of information underneath, from name, contact, statuses, the timestamp, which is crucial for contact tracing, and the notes are all searchable and filterable. So you can run reports any way you want, and it's instant. It's really amazing to see it in action. The admin settings. So every user who signs up, just put your email and password on the website. We'll create you a user automatically. Only you have access to your data. The secure signing for each organization, and then there's a way to add permissions on the dashboard itself. So the dashboard itself includes your organization, how many locations you have, how many devices are in each location. You run all the reports from one centralized place, and permissions for privacy and security. I'm gonna expand on that a little bit later on. Now, the screen badge. The screen badge is something we're trying to do. I think it might be the most easily explained part of this project, but we wanna issue screen badges to all participating businesses that would basically get advertised everywhere we can get our hands on in terms of the media, to show the country, the states, or the resort that they are under the screen protection, which means they're performing contactless, smart thermal screening with contact tracing ability. We want to have badges on every business in the world to do it right. Okay, who can benefit? The quick answer: all of us. We're all in a sham. We're all stuck. We all need something to do, and we all want to do it together. Skreen was designed to be the ultimate aid for all businesses, organizations, schools, retail, offices, venue, tourist attractions, let's not forget the most important thing, and government office. Any place with a door is how we like to say it. Once coupled with other health recommendations, PPE for employees, social distance, and sanitations, we really have a chance to open and stay open. There's a crucial aspect of mutual responsibility between humans here. And this is, while Kym was talking, I wrote down that there's a huge opportunity here to open responsibly and do it right. It's not something like this doesn't happen very often. It gives us all a chance to rethink, relax for a minute, and go forward the best way we can. And I think it's a horrible, unique opportunity. So that's the who can benefit part. Now let's go into the basic common Q&A. We added a few examples here. We have a lot more on the website. After this discussion, feel free to ask. So I saw a question earlier about data privacy. So first thing first, where is my data stored? So all customer information, screening results, the names, the input. Okay, question later. It's hard to focus, but I'll answer that. Rolling. So all the information is stored on the device. It's only accessible to the device owner. Currently, pre-cloud installation from literally being in a very close proximity to the device. It's not accessible to the public in any way, shape, or form. And everything is encrypted. I wouldn't say similar to your banking information because those have been breached quite a lot. So a bit higher encryption than that. Now, should I put the device indoors or outdoors? So we recommend installing it in an entry point in a shaded area for optimal results. Obviously, I wrote shaded area because we live in Hawaii and it's kind of sunny all the time. But there's for optimal performance of the device, you want to have it in a fairly cool area at your entry point. Now, the next one is a very important feature. So how far should I stand from the device? So 6 to 12 inches. We're talking almost a foot, and you still get a very, very accurate reading. Keep in mind that a handheld thermometer requires 1 inch distance, so customers don't have to be as close to the kiosk itself. Obviously, you place the kiosk away from the operator, away from other people, and hopefully away from the people behind that person in line, so you maintain social distancing. But this is a completely contactless solution, hence way safer than putting one employee at risk of screening everybody, potentially getting infected and infecting the rest of the line same day. So we're trying to avoid that. Okay, how can I access the device? So connection to the device is done via tablet, laptop, smartphone, via Wi-Fi. It's a local Wi-Fi. It's not an internet Wi-Fi. It's the device makes its own Wi-Fi. And that's the one you connect to with a password. And you can also do it through our kiosk for easy access and information gathering. We offer for sale a 21-inch touchscreen tablet, which is very, very useful, can be used as an operator station or as a self check-in kiosk. It's really, really quite large and convenient with big buttons. Okay, next question is very much important and futuristic. What can I do with the information I gather? So the information can be used for future contact tracing if needed, or for your own business marketing purposes. Stay in touch with your guests, promote your business, and keep them informed. I'm gonna stop on that for a minute because it's important, and I'm gonna divide that into 2 sections. One for contact tracing. For a very common scenario these days, especially the beginning of the pandemic, businesses discovered after the fact that somebody was positive, and then they couldn't possibly figure out who was in contact with that person, know where that person went, who they touched, who they coughed on, etc., etc. This gives it a solution because if you know somebody has been tested positive, there's a way to search the database, figure out who else was in that proximity of that person at the same time due to timestamp, date, and location. And all the messages to those people, if the organization chooses to alert them, hey, you were near an exposed COVID or confirmed COVID case that day at this place, please self-quarantine. So the system allows to do that on a mass scale. The second portion is the marketing. Now, marketing is something we don't really talk about these days because marketing requires future and we got to build that future. But for small business to know exactly who visited them and who their real customers are, we're there to support them now, is an extremely crucial information. They can stay in communication with those people. Those databases can be downloaded. They can work with them through messages, emails, Facebook campaigns, you name it. Stay in touch now while you rebuild together so you can thank them later that you're able to be here because of them. That's a very, very personal note there. Marketing is key. Last but not least, replacement policy. So we build those devices to last. They're smart yet simple. So we offer a very, very good warranty when it comes down to replacement to normal wear and tear. If there's any problem, just let us know. We'll send you a free replacement. No questions asked. We know those things work and we know how they're going to work. When it comes down to do not pour coffee on it or leave it in the rain. But even if you do, we will still send you a free device because at the end of this, we want you to be protected and we want your guests and customers to be screened. If we notice people are sending us 5 devices in a month, we know there's something wrong. Meet the Skreen team. So we're kind of like a global local company, as we like to call it. So myself, I'm here from Oahu. Our main developer, Matt Neal. Oh, sorry, I got a call. Our main developer, Matt Neal, lives next to me here in Pupukea. Has been working with me for a couple of years. Our CMO, that's a Chief Marketing Officer. His name is Regev. He's also on this call. He's in Israel. Customer Relationship Manager is Daniel Sanchez. He works with me on my other companies as well. And our Customer Support and Sales Management, Aiden and Adela, both live in Nicaragua. Will the Skreen system be in the airports and cruise terminals in Hawaii? If you share it with them and they'll contact us, the answer is yes. Summary. We truly believe we can make a change. If we all work together, we can thrive. It's not a cliche. It's never been more true in history. If there was ever a time in history for personal responsibility and accountability, it is now. And we'll end it with Skreen. It's the right thing to do. Thank you. Here's our website. Please bookmark this. You have this number. It goes directly to my cell phone. So you talk to somebody you already know. And please send us emails if obviously you have any questions or you want to start ordering for your country, state, organization, school, company, or anything in the way. I didn't cover pricing. It's something we cover after the fact, but I'll give you a quick hint. It's about 1/3 of the price of other thermal kiosks you see out there with about 300 more capabilities. So we made it really, really affordable. So people won't have to think once or twice or 3 times, can I afford it? Do I need it? We want it to be an everyone's product. So it's not an iPhone mentality. It's more of a, let's give it to the people and do well together. This is my quick presentation. I thank you for your time. I'll stop screen sharing and just give you a few more seconds to take a screenshot of the contact information, and then we can do a quick Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mor. And Mor is also a member now of Rebuilding.travel, so he, like everyone else, joined our group here, and it's free to join for everyone, as you know. And if you need to get in touch with him and you didn't take a screenshot of his website, just fill out the contact form on Rebuilding.travel, and we will be happy to refer to Mor. And just before we go to questions, Mor, just one quick thing, what also someone sent me on my WhatsApp while you had this presentation. You're talking on one hand about privacy, on the other hand, you're talking about marketing. How does it work together? If I was a guest and you're tracing me with this device, how can I assure my information is private? Or do I have to give my information necessarily to be screened?
Okay, so thank you for the question. The simple answer is this. Let's start with how things are stored. So there's a storage, local storage on each device. That's where the information sits. That's one thing. So it's not something it's not like opening a Facebook account. We all know how that goes. So the answer about marketing, the information is provided by each customer voluntarily. We don't chip you or anything like that. So once you provided your information, you can just provide your name if you want, or you provide your cell phone number. There is a little checkbox that you could click yourself that you're open for future marketing emails or communication from that business. If you unclick it, nobody will ever talk to you, except for if there's a contact tracing scenario. Ladonna, information is being recycled basically. We want to purge it pretty much on a 2-week basis as an answer to how long it gets stored on the device. After 2 weeks has passed, the information is not needed. In terms of security of the information and the privacy, because it's all localized and it's only access to the business and provided by the guest when they come in, you know you gave your information. You know you gave your information for the purpose of contact tracing. utmost. If you don't want to receive any communication from the business in the future, let them know. They'll unclick that button and you won't be going into the marketing database. It's a potential, but I did notice that this is actually the feature that a lot of customers and businesses really, really like, because communication with customers is crucial these days. I hope that is for that.
No, that's very good. Just to spin this one more little step, and we can go to Michael Gray for his question. I know we have some representatives here from independent countries. This would not work for Hawaii, obviously. We're part of the US and we may have different laws, but if you have a country that requires a short-time tourist visa, this could be something what could be connected to the visa application, right? So without giving a minimum data you're really expected to give to foreign authorities or to authorities to a country you wanted to visit. And if this was connected to this device, and this device would be strategically positioned in Corona safe zones or in Corona, in hotels or shops, then it would work, right? It would work because it would immediately give a widespread testing opportunity for this zone actually to remain fairly safe.
Yes, and one of the features we wanted to include is something we call a Skreen daily passport, which is essentially you get screened in the morning at your hotel, going anywhere else, either in that state or country that has screen devices, you not necessarily have to rescreen for temperature every single time. So that would basically be your health pass for the day, if you like. And yes, this system is built to begin with to integrate with all other systems, whether it's health department, school check-in for kids, which I found out almost all schools have their kids with a badge these days. I never had one in school. They didn't know if it didn't show up. Now it's a different world. So those systems are integrated. The software can be customized to any location and application. I just want to answer Michael Gray real quick.
Actually, he's on the, he can actually ask the question and make it easier for everyone else. So why don't we go to Michael? Michael, you're really unmuted, and tell us where you're from.
Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. I'm Mike Gray from NEC. We're a global technology company, and I'm the vertical manager for hospitality as part of our global team. We have a very significant presence on all of the islands in Hawaii, and certainly have an interest in it recovering smartly and strongly. But as far as biometrics goes, I was just going to put a link there that NEC was just recently awarded the contract for all the Hawaii airports to provide facial recognition and biometric screening for incoming and outgoing passengers. But the bigger point is that for those of you who are not familiar with, the World Economic Forum, also known as Davos, has published a document called Trusted Traveler. And if you're familiar with that concept of a single ID from the beginning, and that ID precedes you, whether it be arriving at an airport, renting a car, going to a hotel, anything that ID would be responsible for. If you've not seen the document, I don't know if I can post it as a link. I have it as a document, but it's very interesting to see because that's where the direction all of this is going. And the idea is to have a seamless, frictionless experience. That was the concept several years ago. Now in our current COVID or whatever next year's disease is going to be, having this trusted traveler is going to be even more important than ever.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mor, do you want to say something about this?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Michael, and congratulations on the contract with the Hawaii airports. I did see the bidding that was going on a couple months ago. I'm happy you guys won it, and I'm happy you guys are going to deploy. I'm familiar with your system and the technology, and I think Hawaii definitely needs it. Our solution was developed for basically everybody after the airport. We can definitely tackle airport level operations, but we want to make sure this is everywhere else, which means, and everybody knows, especially with COVID, symptoms can arrive after. and somebody can pass the airport, no problem. Thermal is good. Provide biometrics, which is really cool. I know a lot of people won't necessarily like to give their fingerprint or their eye retina or all of those. That's a debate on its own, different discussion completely. But I was hoping the Hawaii airports would adopt something, and I'm happy to hear that they did. So congrats on that. We want to be everywhere else with this. Because passing through the airport, that's right, that's the gate to every state, other than the cruise ports. That's a different entry, very big in Hawaii here. So I hope you guys have a solution for that. Obviously, we'll be happy to work together if needed. We're not competitors.
I'm not trying to make this a shameless plug.
Yeah. So,
and I just want to say hello to everybody. I'm back from my Olympics meetings.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we want to learn from everybody we can. We want to work with everybody we can. And if things go well, obviously Skreen will become a larger technology company with solutions for that. So we're happy to hear that Hawaii is doing something, at least for the airport. We were worried there for a while.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mor. And I don't know if, just for your information, I see people are coming and going. As always, this session will be online. It will be on our YouTube channel and also linked if you go to archive on rebuilding.travel. Besides, we're going to publish it. So if you need to get back to the session later, because there's a lot of information specifically for Mor that were shared, just feel free to listen to it as many times as you want. Kym, I don't know if you wanted to add something to what we discussed.
I think the first question that was asked talks about the complexity of privacy versus assisting with stopping COVID from spreading. And I think that's the hard thing for American politicians right now. We have a different type of constitution that allows for more privacy and not intruding into a person's personal life. And that's something that I think is going to continue to be debated in Hawaii and the rest of the world. As you know, we implemented the 14-day travel quarantine if you did come to Hawaii from another place. And that was challenged on a constitutional basis from other people that were opposed to that quarantine. We did win that challenge. And so now I think what we are discussing in the political world is, can we also win a challenge on technology like this? And I think we all can agree. If you look at South Korea, they're very good at their contact tracing and their technology. They have 55 million people, or a little more than that, in their country. And the last time I looked, they had just under 300 deaths. Of course, because they have a lot of high tech. They had contact tracing through their high tech initiatives, and it's helped to keep them safe. But they also had a great healthcare system there that allowed people to separate themselves from their families so the clusters didn't form. And so this is the debate going on right now is we do believe we need this, but how can we enact these types of technology without breaking constitutional law? And so the debate continues, and we'll see what happens in America. I do believe Hawaii will be the first in the nation to enact something like this, since we were the first in the nation to do a 14-day quarantine.
Yeah, and that's kind of the title when we came out with announcing this, that Hawaii really has been an example in the world. It's specifically an example in the United States. We were able to keep our COVID numbers as the lowest, even now with having a little bit of a spike, what is for some people alarming, but we did open up, we did have demonstrations, we had all these things everyone else had, but we're still the lowest in the nation. And it's sometimes not the numbers you have to compare, you have to compare the numbers in relation to a certain amount, like 100,000 people or 1 million people, what gives you really the true comparison between other destinations. And I know in Europe, every part in the world is very different. Unfortunately, in the United States, we're going through some real big challenges. And if you go back into our sessions from a few weeks ago, I think many of you, including myself, we warned for Florida and Fort Lauderdale specifically to fall into this trap of reopening their tourism industry. And it doesn't mean, you know, now look, we're right. That's not what it is. But we have the results, and we can learn from this. And we're fortunate in Hawaii that we are allowed to learn. We can learn from others. And that's what's also important, to learn from people like Mor, who come up with ideas. And the legality on privacy issues, they're different. I know from his presentation, there seems to be different type of objectives, devices, approaches to get this type of system implemented under any privacy legality level almost. So we all have to adopt. Peter, you missed a bit of a really interesting presentation, and you can look at it later. But if there's any more questions, please raise your hand now. We're actually 10 minutes over our time already, and it has been a lot of fun. But anyone who has a question, please raise your hand now, so before we can come to an end to this session. Maybe Peter, since you're back and you haven't heard the presentation, so obviously you cannot comment on it, but maybe you can give us some general advice in regards to privacy, tracing of information and so forth. How do you see this? Peter, you have to unmute yourself.
Bother anybody. I wanted to really congratulate Kym in the fact that we have to balance the need for safety and the need for security, along with constitutional issues and what we might call traditional issues. On the whole, in the United States, and I'm only speaking of the United States, Americans have been very careful about loss of privacy. And one of the big issues has been the selling of data, the losing of privacy, of people feeling that people are knowing all about them without their permission. That was one of the reasons behind the HIPAA laws. That was actually one of the big pushes for the HIPAA laws, were that people were afraid that someone would tell about someone's medical records, and that would keep them from being able to get another job. That's also, you see that same issue in DNA testing. You know, when you see people saying, learn that you're from this heritage or that heritage, or I didn't know that 3% of me was African or 4% was Asian or whatever it happens to be. There are many people who are afraid of that because they're afraid that material will eventually be used against them in one way or the other. So the tourism industry is going to have to find a way to balance the way that we can do social tracing, along with really a national history of wanting privacy and the ability to not want to have people infringe on them. And that is especially going to be true in the tourism industry, where so much of your life is open record. Just getting on a plane today takes all sorts of questions and et cetera. So if we make it too open, people are going to back away. If we don't have it open enough, then we're going to have the problem that it's going to be very hard to solve other issues when it comes to something such as a contagious disease. And COVID will not be the last contagious disease. Unfortunately, others will be coming down the pike. If you look at the history of contagious diseases, we've had some form of a contagious pandemic. This is the first worldwide for quite a while, but every 10 years we've had something, be it H1N1, be it some of the other diseases that have taken place, so that SARS, for example, Ebola. So we're going to have to figure out ways to keep people confidence and yet still find out ways to do that. If we can do that, that's going to be a big step forward for tourism.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And if there's no more questions, I will give Kym the last word. Just for your information, we will send everyone a copy of this video. And anyone who wanted to get more involved in rebuilding.travel, we have a very good advisory and high-level task group. I encourage everyone who's on this board to participate, and anyone else who wants to be on this board and has something contribute to the global travel and tourism industry to do this. I wanted to again thank you, Alexander, also for taking the lead in the Balkan region. Dr. Taleb Refai for being there as a mentor, as a former Secretary General for the UNWTO. We have so many good people. We have Cuthbert, the chairman of the African Tourism Board. We have Tom Jenkins, who has been on this forum and is one of our members. He's the CEO of the European Tour Operator Association. And so we have a really good group. As I said, we have Minister Bartlett. I don't want to leave anyone out from Jamaica. And there are many, many more, so I cannot mention all of them and thank all of them. But we are here to contribute to the global discussion. I know there was one question if WTTC and their Safe Tourism Initiative wanted to include such a tracing device, and we will definitely reach out to them. I know Gloria and others from WTTC have been on our forum, and we have discussed their Safe Tourism Initiative. So we're all talking, and that's a good thing we can do. We have many decision makers on this forum worldwide, including sitting ministers of tourism. And if everyone can do their own little part for their own destination, it becomes a global movement, and we can work together and all together defeat this challenge we're going through. Again, Kym, thank you so much for participating. I just got this here in the mail. I don't know if you can see this. It's my vote for the state of Hawaii, also the mayor, so I definitely know where to put my mark when it comes to the next mayor of Honolulu. And I give you the last word, Kym. Thank you. Mahalo.
Well, I want to thank you especially for allowing me to meet all of you and to join this discussion that we're having all over the world. I am very confident that if any group can solve the problems that we are in now, it's going to be this group that works together, that shares information. And most important, I think what we have learned that we can't just have blanket tourism anure, that we put ourselves at risk for having better tourism and increased tourism in the future if we don't make sure that we manage tourism. And that is something that we've discovered in the state of Hawaii. We certainly have to do a better job here of having a partner with the local population so that our residents don't turn away our number one economy. We have tremendous challenges here in Hawaii, being part of America. As Peter said, that how do we balance our constitutional rights with the ability to be safe? And I think Hawaii will lead the nation in that discussion. We will implement technology that will keep us safe. But what's important is the technology that we choose has to make sure that we can't have that information hacked. And as you can see by our own private data across the world is being hacked on a regular basis. So how do we make sure that the information that's shared is stayed private or not too private, that it can't be revealed to other people? So I want to thank everyone so much. I have a lot of hope in Hawaii. I think this is a chance for us to rebuild and renew our tourism, to go back to the tourism of the past, where we made sure that our natural environment was protected and not overused, and especially not overrun and destroyed. We will get through this crisis. I believe in that. In the place of aloha, we are the place that we still want to welcome all of you, but we're going to change a little bit, and we're going to make sure that we take care of our islands first so that you can come back and enjoy your stay. So thank you so much for allowing me to join all of you. I look forward to seeing the solutions that you come up with in the future, and I hope that you share those solutions with me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, mahalo, and hopefully you join our group. You can go to rebuilding.travel, it's free, and maybe we can continue this discussion also with your leadership in the future as the mayor of Honolulu.
Thank you.
Aloha, guys. I'll talk to you next time. On Thursday, don't forget, if anyone is on the right time zone for Tanzania, we're going to have another interesting discussion. Tanzania completely opened up for tourism, and we're going to discuss the pro and contra with the head of the Mafia Island, not related to the mafia. See you on Thursday.